Hey everyone, it's Prince. I wanted to do a quick video about Wigglytuff because the patch notes that were leaked and revealed not too long ago have alerted me to the fact that Wigglytuff is getting buffed. He's one of many Pokemon that is receiving a buff, alongside Sylveon, Gardevoir, Cinderace, Zeraora, Metagross is a big one. But Wigglytuff is the one that pertains the most to me because he's kind of a tank. He's one of the Pokemon that I've been really liking. I've recently been picking him up. Now, Wigglytuff has been famous for being one of the worst Pokemon in the game for a little while now, at around this time. But recently I was inspired by this player named Kyurem, who currently plays for the Indian team Forge Your Legacy. And at the last World Championships was under the team S8UL Esports. And in the qualifying rounds on the way to the Asian Champions League that is still going on, Kyurem would sometimes play Wigglytuff as the bottom path tank. And I just thought that was so cool because when I've lost to Wigglytuffs in the past, he seems to be very good against things that particularly my buddy Thundertoes plays. He's really good into speedsters, and I just really thought that was cool, but I thought maybe this was something that at the professional level people would just figure out how to play around him. But this player, Kyurem, has really shown me that it is viable in competitive. There's just a lot of hoops you have to jump through. The biggest one, of course, is you have to ban Umbreon. Umbreon completely destroys Wigglytuff. He renders your Unite move completely useless because it's all about shields, granting shields to your enemy team. Secondly, it's in a weird spot where it is typed as a supporter, but it doesn't have any healing support. So he's more of a tank, however, he's less defensive than other tanks. So I've basically come up with these conditions, and I'm probably far from the only person who has come up with this, but I did discover it on my own in my journey to try and main Wigglytuff, that two conditions have to be met, basically. Of course, we're not in draft, so I can't know that the opponent doesn't have an Umbreon, so I'm just going to have to hope that they don't know to counter the Wigglytuff. So that's not even one of the conditions. It will become a condition later. The ones that I'm talking about are A, you cannot have Wigglytuff be the only tank. Basically, you can't have him be solely responsible for absorbing all of the damage in 5v5 group fights at the Ray or other objectives, because he's just not going to do the job as well as a different defender. So the way to solve this is to have another very tanky defender that is wanting to perform the role of brawler. So what this looks like in the competitive scene is maybe your top laner, instead of being Buzzwole, instead of being Blaziken, instead of being Meowscarada, is just a Blastoise. Maybe he's a Lapras, and I'm not talking about the Exp.Share tank, right? They would have an Exp.Share supporter with them in lane, but they themselves are carrying with special attack specs or what have you. Crit Crustle is another good example. Things that maybe aren't being played as tanks. They're actually trying to carry some damage, but they are naturally defenders, if that makes sense. Because that makes it so that Wigglytuff doesn't have to bear the burden of being the sole frontliner. Instead, there are kind of two of them, and that actually makes Wigglytuff's Unite move even better because it defends these really bulky brawlers, right? And so, looking at this team composition real quick, we noticed I started playing Wigglytuff because I had called bottom lane, had gone with one of my two main tanks, which are either Slowbro or Crustle, and then someone called Trevenant at the top lane. But now, normally I don't have a problem playing two defenders, and we are technically playing two tanks, even though some people don't consider Wigglytuff more of a support, right? But this is where Wigglytuff really shines, and it's really, really good at protecting the backliners like Gardevoir, like Dragapult, from speedsters and assassins that want to get straight through you. If I miss my Rock Tomb timing on a Crustle, they can just run right past me. If I miss them with X-Scissor, they can just run right past me. But it's very hard to run past a Sing from a Wigglytuff because I'm controlling my movement as it's happening. I can continuously get in front of you, and you are slowed as I'm singing. Now, Sing is one of these moves that's getting a buff, and I'm super duper excited about it. But I should probably stop talking and start showing how Wigglytuff gameplay is executed. Basically, I'm trying to figure out how good is Wigglytuff going to be. It already seems like it's in a good spot. Even World Champion Slash recently released a video where he says Wigglytuff is not in a good great spot per se, but in a better spot than it's been before just because of the Resonant Guard item. And I should mention, I am on Exp.Share, Resonant Guard, and Buddy Barrier. Buddy Barrier is really good on Wigglytuff because it has such a fast cooldown on its timer, among the fastest in the game. Now here, both of these opponents appear to be stacking. The Clefable is on special attack specs, the Lucario should be on, what's it called? The attack weight, right? And so we can't really do a full handshake here where they score on us, we score on them, because we're not stacking. So they'd be winning that fight. Instead, I want to secure this Baltoy and then also fight for our Baltoys. Because if we secure those Baltoys, then they just wasted their time, right? Theirs are still up, and we have the XP advantage. And in fact, in staying there too late and fighting us, ideally, they might even lose their lives. But we have to be careful, because Ralts is not a very good early game Pokemon, and especially in the top lane, it's a dangerous place to play Gardevoir, in my humble opinion. In fact, in competitive, it's said that Gardevoir should not be played outside the jungle because of how badly it needs that experience. But, as you guys are going to see later in this video, the Exp.Share is one heck of a powerful, powerful item. But it's very important that we don't slip up in the early game here, because we do not want this player Lexter to stay Ralts for very long if we can help it. It's a tight balancing act here. Trying to prioritize here. Doing our best, trying to be as annoying as possible, seeing if we can maybe kill this Lucario. Good dash away from us. Oh man, I remember being so close to killing him, but that's okay. Their Bunnelbees are still up. We fought for some of our farm. Our jungler is coming up here. Thundertoes on Dragapult. Dragapult, of course, recently banned. Recently buffed about a month ago, and he's been feeling great for once. Not overpowered. He has his fair share of weaknesses, but when those weaknesses aren't exploited and the player is good, man, that Pokemon can really take over. Still not very good in the early game, though. I got a great evolution from scoring there, and now we've got a Kirlia. See, this is where things really start kicking into gear. They cannot come up here. Look at this. They didn't want to give up the birds, but the zoning is too good. They get slowed by Sing. By the time they want to go back, it's too late, right? It's the Rock Tomb effect. Now, we wanted to go score again, but this Absol came from the lane, and Absol is pretty darn good against Dragapult, specifically in the early game, right? And also against Kirlia. He's one of those assassins. My matchup against Absol is pretty good. Sing is really good against speedy assassins like Absol, but my Sing is on cooldown. I remember being a little frustrated here because I had just used it to secure the kills on Lucario and Clefairy, and so I'm waiting for it to come off cooldown here. Get my double slap. He retreats. Thundertoe survives because he uses that move that makes him go invisible, and I thought he just fooled the Absol, but he explained to me in real time that actually if Absol cannot see you, if his character doesn't have visibility on you legally, he can't actually use his moves toward you, which I should have known. I was a longtime Absol player before I switched to Exp.Share supporters and defenders that are now basically all that I play. Absol is basically my favorite Pokemon of all time. Here the enemies escape again, but I'm not too frustrated. Basically, we just want to choke them out. We want to, if they retreat, we start taking their resources. If they want to fight for their resources, we start taking their HP, right? We want to keep that balance in, so that to deny them as many resources and as much time as possible. So here the timers are up. Usually, what I try to do, if it seems reasonable, is stay until 7:20. Try and secure as many of the birds as possible, and then immediately rotate to the bottom lane. Alternatively, one or both of us could stay up here and fight for a stalemate at this top objective while we hope that the rest of the team can rip bottom, right? And then the third option, of course, is to not even wait for the birds, just head bottom right away, fight for those birds instead, wipe out the enemies, and guarantee that bottom Reggie. So we're going to see what I do in this match. Gardevoir, we already have a Gardevoir, by the way. It was like 7:30 when he evolved to its final stage. I told Thundertoes this in real time, and he was like, "What? That's insane. That's incredible." This Gardevoir is as high level as the Jungler, which is just awesome. Now, this Trevenant rotated to the top lane, which I thought was super interesting. I see the little exclamation point that I put down on my map on my character. That was me declaring that I was going to the bottom lane. So here I go. Now the problem with Wigglytuff, of course, is he can't heal. So this is the HP I'm going to show up with if I don't want to go home. But I'm really trying to get here, and unfortunately, if I remember correctly, yeah, it doesn't work. So if they hadn't been ripping that Regice, I would have come in and easily killed that Ivysaur, but here it evolves, it takes me out. Ah man, I wasn't quite fast enough. I'm not entirely sure why Trevenant rotated up, but it's not throwing, it's just slightly suboptimal. Like, we're still getting stuff out of this. The Gardevoir is pressing using its Gargantuan level. It's as high level as the enemy jungler. Oh, this Venusaur was a pain in the neck with its solar beams in this whole game, I do remember. Gardevoir does well to try and split the Absol. He can either come for the Gardevoir or come for the Regieleki, but he can't do both. That was a great idea from the Gardevoir. Here I remember chasing this Clefable out of the jungle. We couldn't quite catch it, but the birds came up, so Oh, I didn't go for the birds. Trevenant does. But what I wanted to do was catch the last few seconds of this Regieleki buff. I think I united them there? Yeah, united because it was so early. So that's Starlight Recital, I think it's called. So here we're trying to push them out of our jungle again. That Lapras is actually a really high level, dang. But we're regrouping, successfully pushing them out. I'm getting a group of birds up there. Thundertoe says he wants to come up here and farm with me because his jungle was getting taken. So here, this moment was cool. So I died, leaving Thundertoes alone in a 2v1. But I want to rewind real quick to just a second or two before to watch what I do, even knowing that I'm going to die, because I take a big hit from the Absol right here. Oh no, it was the Solar Beam that chunked me here. And so I know that there are two here, and I know that Thundertoes is in the area, and he's invisible here. So I want to set it up to where they cannot fight this Dragapult. And Sing is really big here. So I turn on the Sing. It puts the Absol to sleep. I die. But he gets gunned down by Dragapult, and they both get finished off. So Thundertoes was telling me, like, the amount of work that I put in was massive there, because it basically made them sitting ducks. And that's what's really cool about Wigglytuff, is his space control is really, really nice. He pairs up really nicely with another person following up, which is right up my alley. Of course, here I am at bottom lane. Meowscarada is also heading bottom. I figured since we had 3 on top, we were fine to go at bottom. And of course, we lose that objective. And Meowscarada ended up rotating, but so late. He should have started doing that forever ago. I told them that there were 4 or 5 of them down there. Yeah, all 5 of them, so that they had free rip up there, which is cool. And I'm happy to see that these guys have such healthy levels. I was just trying to stall for time, and unfortunately I didn't quite get there. But, oh, humongous overscore of 32. You'll love to see it. And of course it's quite demoralizing to lose your second tier goal like that. So we're currently trying to defend bottom, and pretty successfully. They had pressed up pretty high, but now we're looking to punish them here. I remember singing this Lapras, and boop. Gets put to sleep. Try and use my Dazzling Gleam to deal more damage to their HP bars, make them a little uncomfortable, but they also defend their goal zone just as well as we defended ours. Oh, this moment is great. They all... Oh my gosh, look at how... What a satisfying fairy singularity there from the Gardevoir. I remember I had already spawned, so I didn't get to see that when the game was actually happening, but Thundertoes, who had just died, was seeing it on his screen and remarking what an amazing Unite move that had been. We have to be diligent. We have to pick up our farm, make sure our levels are staying good. That Gardevoir is level 13, guys. It's a top laner. I hardly ever see things like this in games. It's a higher level than our jungler. So there's my Starlight Recital again, getting shields to everyone. Now, unfortunately, I don't think we break through this goal, do we? I didn't know what to do here. I had no way to recover my HP, so... Yeah, no, we do actually get some, but here is the little bit of a tragedy. I purposely try to get it low so that we could get a massive overscore again, but the Gardevoir correctly analyzes that it's not going to be able to score that and has to back off. And I think ends up dying anyway, which is unfortunate because we're trying to fight over that objective that is only there for another 5 seconds. And Trevenant he had a decent idea of ripping the top objective. But it didn't quite work out for either team. So here we're trying to regroup. I thought, so first of all, it was really, really bad for us that our highest damaging character, Gardevoir, got killed so close to the Ray fight because we're not getting her back. So we have to basically pull back. And so here, Thundertoes was flying close to the Ray Pit and eats a Solar Beam. And that's awful because I'm not a Clefairy, alright? I'm a Wigglytuff. I can't do anything about his HP. So, oh gosh, the enemy gets up close and he eats another one and they kill him before the Dragapult has a chance to do anything. At this point, I said, oh my gosh, it's over. They got us. We were doing so well in this game. And just in a matter of seconds, everything got flipped. Now, our composition looks a lot better to me than theirs does for the late game, but we just didn't get it online here. So I'm basically forced to retreat. The enemy is collapsing on us. Meowscarada was farming because it correctly assessed that we shouldn't have engaged in a 5v5 there because we didn't have 5, right? So we were playing the waiting game, so it thought it might as well farm while we are waiting. Unfortunately, as the Gardevoir's coming back, we lose our other biggest damage dealer. So here I'm running for my life. And here something interesting happens. The Trevenant, who was, I think, defending from a back cap, comes in and engages all of them. So at this point, gotta remember, I think the game is over. We don't have a shot here. So the only thing I can think of is, okay, so if they're all going to collapse on the Trevenant, I can at least try and do what I do best and Recital here and give him an extra shield, make him that much harder to kill. Trevenant, oh gosh, did he get launched? How did he end up over there? He flies, and then everyone chases after him, collapses on me, the Wigglytuff, kills me, but in doing so, consolidate themselves so nicely to get hit by another perfect Fairy Singularity from the Gardevoir. Oh my goodness. Look at that freeze frame. Straight into the Psyshocks. It obliterates all of them, and now the Meowscarada and Gardevoir easily decimate even a Lapras at level 13. They even surrender. They don't want to play this anymore after getting caught in that. And these are the end statistics. I remember Thundertoes said, yeah, he wasn't super proud of his performance in this game. His level didn't skyrocket like it usually does, but all in all, it was pretty well executed. Very well played to all of our opponents and all of our allies. That was an awesome one. But that's not the only one I have to view today. This was a game that was played a day earlier. This time not only with Thundertoes, but also with Lakshmi, with two of my teammates. And we had these allies who chose to go Tyranitar and Clefable in the bottom lane. Originally, I think I was toggling over my support Pikachu build at the top lane with Sylveon, but when I saw Tyranitar and Clefable, I said, ooh, Clefable and Pikachu aren't necessarily a bad match. It's kind of like playing two supporters. Pikachu, of course, doesn't have traditional support like healing, but it supports with debuffing, healing, little stun with Thunderbolts, and also just spreading damage and carrying the Exp.Share, of course. The way I play him. Not saying that Pikachu usually runs the Exp.Share, but here I saw that we didn't have a defender, so I almost wanted to go a tank, but then I said, oh, wait a second. Why not go Wigglytuff? Remember the conditions? Wigglytuff doesn't want to be the only one that's soaking up damage. Now, I know that this early game is going to suffer at the bottom lane, but the late game, Tyranitar with a supporter, that's a monstrous combination. And I said, okay, Tyranitar, one of his biggest strengths is that he's actually bulky. He can take a hit and dish out a lot of damage. So if he's going to be taking some damage, then I don't have to absorb 100% of it. So this is a good way to fulfill the condition on Wigglytuff. in a way, with having a bulky brawler. Alright, so anyway, a little bit of a backstory between this team. We had just finished playing a game against, I believe this is a 3-stack, ALV Afre, ALV Saul 7, and Bojack. And these players were so good. ALV Afre was on Zoroark the previous game. Bojack was still on Comfey. Saul 7 was on Chandelure. They completely demolished us. Oh my goodness. It was one of the most skilled set of players that I've seen in a little while. And so we queued with them again, and we kind of groaned a little bit, and we knew we were in for a fight. They switched up their characters, and man, they gave us another fantastic game. But I was really hoping that we'd get to pull one back, because, I mean, we're no professionals or anything, but we're striving to become really, really good at this game, right? So if we get matched up against really good opponents, it's just an opportunity to try and prove ourselves. So here we go, trying to prove ourselves. I think I like Jigglypuff a little bit better than Clefairy in the early game laning. It just seems like it's bulkier, especially with the Resonant Guard. That item puts in a lot of work. By the way, that item on Goomy, oh my gosh, has made that Pokemon insufferable in the early laning phase. It's so hard to kill. It was already very hard to kill and dealt all right damage on top of that. And now with that stupid shield that it puts on itself, geez, it can solo both enemy top laners. That was a really random complaint. Sorry about that. We got a really nice secure here, which is awesome. They basically have one Pokemon, so they have one chance to secure against us, and they don't get it, which means they wasted a lot of time there. Now, we don't punish them by trying to steal their farm. Instead, we're trying to play it safe and make sure we secure our advantage. Thundertoes ganks bottom lane first on his Dragapult because he knows that they're going to be struggling. Larvitar and Clefairy, I can think of very few pairs that are weaker in the early game than those two. So they're going to need the help. Unfortunately, he gets good secures here, Alfrey on the sword here, but it's pretty noticeable that we're dealing decent damage to him as Wigglytuff and Sylveon, which is good. Oh, here I barely captured this excellent move by Bo, what's his name? The Comfey player who jumps off of his target to eat the Sylveon's Draining Kiss that would have killed the Doublade, and then jumps back on. It barely showed up on the clip, but I remember Lakshmi telling me that had happened. It takes a decently skilled Comfey player to recognize that timing. So here I try and drag him away and get killed. It's hard to survive this gank. So our Sylveon's going to retreat. I'm going to try and head back up, or am I going to go bottom? No, it's still time to go up. It wouldn't be a horrible idea to start rotating early either. That was also... Oh man, look at how late these birds are here. Usually they're taken by one of the two junglers. Oh, but I remember we rotate down, and even though we're late, we're trying to catch this Doublade out. And so we're battling all of the top laners against all of the junglers, and I think we get them here. Meowscarada retreats, and we kill the Comfey Bojack here. Yeah, it ended pretty well. Now, why are we going up? To collect the birds and possibly a score. But it's important to head bottom very soon. We're just trying to make sure to keep an experienced lead here. Yeah, because the Doublade was level 6 when we had killed him. Now he has 7. Now he has Aegislash. He went into his jungle because he realized he needed those levels. But look at the level on that Sylveon. Level 8. Higher level than the jungler. Do not underestimate the Exp.Share, folks. Are we going to get here in time? I feel like we're not. Ah, so frustrating. So here, basically, I don't know what we're doing. The Pupitar goes into the jungle and starts taking some of that. He does need his experience, but I mean, we would really, really like a Dragapult as well. So things aren't looking super dandy here. Clefable gets taken out. Oh, Dragapult gets taken out. I get taken out. The only one who's alive is Sylveon because she retreated to the top lane to at least hold off a stalemate on this top Reggie. Because both goals are still active, this top Reggie isn't the greatest value for either team right now. You really just don't want to lose it for the experience. And for a little bit of tempo, of course. Just Lash went in with its Unite move, but it can't fight off both of us. Or maybe it can? Oh, Crussel's coming in to fight. Oh, he separates us and kills the Sylveon. Yeah, I think they got us here. Thundertoes is trying to make sure he gets his level 9. There it is, he's got his evolution. Is everyone evolved? Yes, the Tyranitar's all the way at the bottom lane, but he is evolved. Nice little fly from the Clefable. It's able to stop the scores for a little bit, but ultimately, they still go in. And I think we're going to get wiped again, yeah? Can Thundertoes kill that Leafeon? No, he can't. Okay. So this looks bad, but I know that we have a better late game composition than our opponents. So because if you're able to recognize that, it helps a little bit with the frustration that sometimes comes with losing in this game, because the win condition is still very real. You can tell we're behind by a lot, but we're going to start pulling some points back, especially when we're together like this. Thundertoes realized that we had that covered. Now, the opponents made a pretty clever play, just using the Regieleki as a distraction, and instead of pushing it, you pushed toward the opposite lane, and this level 10 Dragapult wasn't strong enough to stop them. So here I'm going into the jungle. It's very important for us to pick up our farm, just make sure we do not fall behind in levels, right? Because that's going to end us for sure, especially against those brawly characters like the sword, like Cressel, Leafeon, Meowscarada. So here I had ran off to go farm, but Thundertoes calls me back because they're in the jungle and he needs help with these guys. And here, unfortunately, they're able to run straight past me. I was able to put the Crustle to sleep with Sing, but he just wakes up. I don't have enough damage to pressure him, so he just walked straight past me, kills the Dragapult. Things are looking kind of grim. Sylveon was up at the top lane, kind of expecting someone to be up there defending the goal, but no one ever comes, so she's taking advantage as best that she can. We just gotta keep making sure we farm. Eventually our time will come. We've gotten some good scores in. We've just about doubled our score, but the opponents have also scored a lot on us. So here comes a Rebel Rouser, but it's not gonna matter. I put it to sleep with Sing. Okay, he does get away, but I was telling the team, that's not bad. If they use a Rebel Rouser to retreat and not to fight, that's a pretty good sign. Jump in here, and now that when we're all together, suddenly they start feeling the power of, oh geez, this Wigglytuff and Tyranitar will not die when the Clefable's near them. Sylveon's, of course, really good at flipping between being a frontliner and a backliner in the blink of an eye, and Dragapult, always a backliner, but dealing really heavy damage. So here I'm zoning while we go rip. Dragapult's one of our fastest rippers, but Tyranitar here is going to solo the objective while we apply more damage pressure to these guys. Thundertoes does lose his life, but it costs the opponents the objective. We're trying to chase down this Meowscarada. It's super fast. But here we're trying to split their attention, right? Now they've got 3 up there defending from the Regieleki, and we're down here. We're going to see if we can, if not take the bottom Regi, at least defend it to make sure that they do not get it, right? Sylveon's at a really healthy level right now. Mine's not too bad. I usually like to be 12 before the Ray fight, but I was the top laner, not the bottom laner this time around, so there's a little bit less XP. Oh, Sylveon's not going to have the rip to do this in 5 seconds. But the fight is going pretty well. Now, if it were Dragapult ripping that and Sylveon fighting up here, we had done it the opposite way, we probably could have done something with that, but it's not always that flexible. So here we immediately go in and start ripping the Rayquaza, and what was the condition for that? Because we had just taken down 2 of them and only lost me. Now, Wigglytuff doesn't provide a lot of DPS, whereas Aegislash and Leafeon are a good portion of their damage. So here we just have to make sure. Ooh, there's a Moonlight from the Clefable. If I had been the Clefable, I would have been looking to time to the point where the Rayquaza gets to around this HP and put a gravity right under the Rayquaza to stop Crustle from X-scissoring. I actually haven't paid too much attention to whether Clefable's been running gravity or not. But regardless, Thundertoes secures the Rayquaza. And we don't get an instant concede. They do rip the shield off of the Sylveon, who unfortunately has to retreat. Dragapult scores 100, and Tyranitar scores is 42, so that's great. So at this point, remember how hard we were losing the early game? I start thinking we might not be ahead. And if you look at the scores, because we can see them because this is a recorded game, we actually are ahead, but it's not by that much. It's by 49. So almost by exactly what the Tyranitar scored is what we're leading with. But it's enough to have my mind filled with doubt of, are we actually winning this game? Because two of us got to score, but one of us had less than 50. Well, had way less than 50, but scored less than 50 because it's all doubled. Here they tried for a pretty nice push. That was an awesome defense against the Comfey, who only had 8, but because of the timing on Sing, it got put to sleep when it would have scored the 8 and took too much damage. 16 is not a meaningful number when the scores are as close as definitely as close as I thought they might have been. So here, after we defeat all 5 of them, Thundertoe says, "Okay, I got this. I'm gonna go score." And I'm thinking, "Oh my gosh, are you even gonna make that?" Forgetting, of course, that he has a shield and he goes invisible. Look at how trivial this heal makes it look. Boop. Easy 100 goes in, and now the victory is secured. Not only did we defend from 2 fronts, but we also just scored an extra 100. That was such a beautiful end to the game. And of course, here are the numbers. Thundertoe's killing it on Dragapult this game. Me with 13 assists on the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff deals a deceptive amount of damage. It really does. Dazzling Gleam, which by the way is getting a buff, I'm super excited for it, works really well. So anyway, I'm thinking that Wigglytuff is going to be definitely better than it's been before. Sylveon's going to be better. I had floated the idea to my teammates that Sylveon needed a buff, everyone knew it, but the Sylveon is one of those beautiful examples where it has 2 different movesets and they're so even. The Disarming Voice, no, the Hyper Voice and Calm Mind moveset and the Mystical Fire Draining Kiss moveset are both, they see equal amounts of play, which unfortunately is very low, especially in competitive, but they're so close to each other that I just couldn't see buffing one and not the other. So I really wanted them to buff the overall special attack stat of Sylveon and reduce the cooldown timer of its Unite move, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening, which is so awesome. But anyway, the video was about Wigglytuff. They did not do exactly what I mentioned about Sylveon. They appear to only buff the moveset that was already seeing play anyway, which, I mean, I guess it's fine for me. It's just going to become even more of a meme to use Rollout and Double Slap, but hey, the Sing Dazzling Gleam combo might be real, especially combined with Resonant Guard. You just have to keep in mind, it doesn't do well into Umbreon, and it really wants at least one other Pokemon in the team composition that can absorb some hits. And if those conditions are met, I think Wigglytuff is a sleeper pick right now, especially after the buffs come in. Well, people are going to be trying it regardless, and we're going to see what they find out. But of course, my prediction, as someone who plays Wigglytuff already with the pre-buff moves, I think Wigglytuff is going to be a very strong pick for climbing as a support / tank. Anyway, this is getting a little long, but thank you for listening, guys. I will come at you again with another video soon, and hopefully these Wigglytuff buffs help out with the balance of the game. Alrighty, take care.